Hi friends, welcome to Concepts of Geology online classes. This is the online platform where we are learning geology through a series of comprehensive classes. Today I am very happy because by this class we are going to complete the session, that means the Economic Geology Part 1. Keep the same enthusiasm you have shown till date. Thank you once again. Now coming to the topic allotted for today. Today we are going to learn the fluid inclusion geothermometry. Okay, the definition of fluid inclusion, their limitation and questions of study have already discussed in the last class. If you are not familiar with those, I will suggest you to come through that class before starting this video lecture. Okay, so let's move to the fluid inclusion geothermometry. The objective of fluid inclusion geothermometry is to determine the paleotemperature of formation of an ore or the gangue mineral in which the inclusion has trapped. The technique is called geothermometry because normally we are deciphering the temperature at which the inclusion has formed when the pressure is known from an other independent geological source. Okay, this is done to estimate the paleotemperature. Now, before proceeding to the main technique of fluid inclusion geothermometry, we should have a clear conception about how does fluid inclusion form. Suppose this is a euhedral crystal in which we are getting the inclusion today. Fluid inclusions are nothing but small amount of fluid trapped during the growth of the crystal. So suppose this is the growing phase of the crystal and this is the phase while the crystal was growing and then the inclusion was trapped in the mineral. Okay, so after the inclusion getting trapped, they are cooled within the nature. Now suppose this is a fracture initiated within the crystal after a subsequent cooling and the fracture is again filled with the same liquid by which the inclusions were filled. Now again after some subsequent cooling, the necking down process is taking into action and we are having some droplets in the elongated cavity of the fracture. We have already discussed about the necking down process in detail in the last video. Okay, I will suggest you to follow that if you are feeling unfamiliar with these terminologies. So clearly after this fracture formation we are getting two types of inclusion within this crystal. The fracture filling inclusions are the secondary inclusion and these inclusions are primary inclusion. Those were trapped within a growing phase of the crystal. Okay, so these are primary inclusions and secondary inclusions. Now with more cooling in the nature, the system is getting contracted. Okay, that means the crystal as well as the inclusion both are contracting, but here the rate of contraction of the crystal is less than that of the inclusion. Okay, so as a result some vacant space is creating within these inclusions. Okay, these are empty spaces. Now as soon as the vacant space is creating within the inclusion, pressure inside the inclusion is lowered. So to maintain the pressure, some of the vapor is coming out from the liquid and this is filling the empty space. This vapor phase is occurring within this inclusion just like a bubble. Okay, these are called contraction bubbles. These are the contraction vapor bubbles within the inclusions. Okay, so this is the story of formation of fluid inclusion and the vapor bubbles inside it. Now with more cooling along with the contraction, one more thing is happening. We know with lowering temperature the solubility of a solution decreases. Okay, so suppose the liquid inside the inclusion is not pure water, rather it is a solution of salt. So with lowering temperature the solubility of the aqueous solution is getting down and some of the salt crystal is precipitating from the liquid due to oversaturation. Okay, these crystals are called daughter crystals. So clearly we are having three types of inclusions depending on the phase content. They are monophase, biphase and multiphase inclusion. Monophase inclusion is found before a sufficient cooling and after a subsequent cooling some vapor phase is coming out from the liquid, then we will have a biphase inclusion, and after more cooling when we are getting some daughter crystals precipitated within the inclusion, we are calling it multiphase inclusion. Fine. Now we will put a more closer look into the formation of the inclusions. See, this is called PVT diagram. Okay, on this axis the pressure values are written while this axis is representing the temperature values. These lines are called isochord lines. Okay, they are indicating the same value for the density of the liquid. See, with increasing temperature, the density of the liquid is decreasing. Now look at the inclinations of these isochord lines. When we are increasing the temperature of the inclusion, we have to put more pressure on it to maintain the density. That means when temperature is increased, the liquid inside the inclusion is getting expanded, and that's why the density of the liquid is decreased. To maintain the density, we have to put more pressure on it to maintain the volume of the liquid again. Okay, clearly with changing the pressure temperature condition of the inclusion, only the volume of the inclusion is getting changed. Okay, the mass is remaining same. So although the term volume is not clearly mentioned on this diagram, but it is conceived into it. That's why this diagram is called pressure volume temperature diagram. Okay, now see, this red line is dividing the entire diagram into two segments. Okay, the upper segment is the liquid field, where the fluid inside the inclusion is remaining totally in liquid phase. Okay, and in this phase we are having a totally vapor phase inside the inclusion. So when I am coming from this liquid segment to the vapor segment, when I am touching this red line, that is the L equal to V curve, we are having some vapor phase nucleating within that inclusion. So at this line we will have a vapor phase and a liquid phase existing in equilibrium condition within the inclusion. This is the basic concept of the PVT diagram. Now consider an inclusion which was getting trapped at a given temperature and pressure, suppose at this point PT and TT. Okay, we are talking about an inclusion within which the phase is pure H2O. After the entrapment of the inclusion at this particular pressure and temperature, the system is getting cooler in the nature. Okay, now during up to a particular time period of this cooling event, the pressure and temperature inside the inclusion is moving downward through this isochord density line. Okay, during this period definitely the temperature of the inclusion is getting decreased, but the pressure is also decreased in such a manner the density of the inclusion is maintained within the cavity. So till now we do not have any shrinking inside the inclusion, but as soon as the pressure temperature coordinate of the inclusion is touching this L equal to V curve, we will have a nucleation of the vapor bubble. Okay, so we are having the first nucleus of the vapor bubble here. That means the contraction of the liquid inside the inclusion is started up. Now with gradual decrease of the temperature, the liquid inside the inclusion is contracting, which is creating the more room for the vapor phase. Okay, so the vapor bubble will expand in volume and the liquid is contracting in volume. So clearly it will be resulted in the increase of the density of the liquid within the inclusion. So this is the process of the formation of the fluid inclusion and the vapor bubble with continued cooling of the host crystal. This is described through the PVT diagram of pure H2O phase. So now we are having the basic perception how are the inclusions forming, and with that background knowledge we can proceed to the process by which the geothermometry is done. There are mainly 4 steps to accomplish the geothermometry. The first one is heating experiment, where the sample containing inclusion is heated and viewed simultaneously on a microscope stage until the liquid and the coexisting bubble homogenize and fill the inclusion as a single fluid. This temperature is called temperature of homogenization. After that heating experiment, we will have a cooling experiment. Okay, this is done to find the chemistry of the solution. After knowing the chemistry, we can choose the appropriate graph for applying the pressure correction. Okay, because we are doing the experiment in room pressure temperature condition, which is very much negligible to the actual pressure temperature condition at which the inclusion was trapped. Now at the last, the pressure correction is applied and the geothermometry process is completed. What are the apparatus needed for the geothermometric study? Okay, firstly we need a doubly polished thin section, that is called wafer section also. That thin section will be viewed under a transmitted light microscope. Okay, we will need a temperature controllable stage because we are going to heat and cool the inclusion during the study. Now note here, we are heating and cooling the same inclusion and the process is totally reversible. Okay, so that is a non-destructive method. Through this method we are determining the temperature pressure and composition of the inclusion. Okay. So first, coming to the heating experiment. Here in practice, a sample containing the inclusion is heated and viewed at the same time on a microscope stage until the liquid and the coexisting bubble that is occupying the inclusion at room temperature homogenize. Okay, and this is filling the inclusion as a single phase. Filling is usually accomplished by the disappearance of the bubble. Okay, suppose this is the inclusion having a vapor phase as a bubble within it. This is the temperature scale. We are going to increase the temperature during the heating experiment. So our room temperature is 25 degrees centigrade and we will increase the temperature through the scale and we will observe what is happening inside the inclusion. Observe, with increasing temperature, the vapor bubble is gradually disappearing. This is happening because with increasing temperature, the liquid inside the inclusion is expanding and this is taking the space of the bubble. See, at this particular temperature level, the vapor bubble is completely disappeared, okay, and the inclusion is now completely filled with a single phase. This temperature is called temperature of homogenization, okay. This is noted. Now, we will observe what is happening on the PVT diagram previously explained during this heating experiment, okay. For that, we have to recall again how it was formed, okay, because during heating, it will just follow the same path, but here the path will be just reversed. So when we started the heating process, the bubble was gradually disappearing, okay, and this was moving through this L equal to V curve. See, through this curve, the density of the inclusion is decreasing. Now with continuous heating, at a particular temperature, the inclusion is touching this L equal to V curve at that point, okay, and here the vapor bubble is completely disappeared. So this was marked as the temperature of homogenization. But remember, here we are doing the experiment in the normal air pressure condition and which is significantly negligible with respect to the original pressure in which the fluid was trapped. Now if I can increase the pressure to create the realistic situation, then the inclusion will need more heat to be homogenized. So the temperature of homogenization, which is just red, is the minimum temperature for the formation of the ore. Okay, we can decipher the actual temperature of formation only after the application of pressure correction. You may not believe, for a deposit formed in a depth greater than 10 km, the difference of temperature of homogenization may rise up to 300 degrees centigrade when the pressure correction is applied. Now again we will put a more closer look on the pressure correction through this PVT diagram. On the heating experiment, we saw the inclusion was reached up to this point, okay, where the vapor bubble completely disappeared and we called it the temperature of homogenization. Now the question is, what will happen if I increase the temperature more? Happening will be just reverse of the cooling. The inclusion will follow this isochore line, okay, and the density of the inclusion will remain same. Why this is happening? Because when we are increasing the temperature of the inclusion, the liquid is trying to expand, but it has no room for more expansion, okay. The pressure inside the inclusion is increasing again. So definitely if I continue the heating experiment for infinite time, a time will come when the inclusion will explode or the crystal will be melted. So the question which is originating here, that up to what temperature we have to heat the sample, okay. The answer is the optimum temperature will be when the pressure inside the inclusion is reaching the pressure of trapping. So we have to collect the data for the pressure at which the inclusion was trapped from an other independent geological source, just like suppose inversion of a polymorph or suppose a particular mineral assemblage in a metamorphic facies. So clearly there is a difference between this temperature of homogenization and the temperature of trapping. This difference is called the pressure correction. Now note here, the pressure correction is basically a temperature value, okay. This is not a pressure, it has the unit of temperature, okay. This means the difference between the temperature of trapping and the temperature of homogenization. Now see, this is a standard graph for the pressure correction of H2O system. This axis is representing the density of the inclusion and here the temperature is plotted. The red line is the locus of the temperature of homogenization for the inclusion having different densities. Mind it, this temperature of homogenization is under the normal pressure condition. Now see, in case of pure water, this value of the density is also indicating how much of the inclusion is filled with water. See, where the density is purely 1, that means the inclusion is totally filled with water. No vapor bubble is there. okay, where the density is 0.5, that means the inclusion is half filled with water phase and the other half is filled with the vapor phase. And where the density is 0, that means the inclusion is totally filled with the gaseous phase. Now let me explain that why this is happening. Suppose we are trying to find out what will be the density of an inclusion filled 70% by pure water and rest gas. So for a couple of seconds, suppose this is the inclusion, okay, having total volume of 100 cc. This is practically not possible, but suppose this is. Out of this total volume, 70 cc is filled with water because we have 70% water in the inclusion, okay. The rest 30 cc is filled by the vapor phase, that means the gaseous phase. So what will be the density of the inclusion? Density means the mass of the inclusion divided by the volume of the inclusion. The volume of the inclusion is clearly 100 cc, and what will be the mass? The mass is coming from the water only because this vapor phase has a negligible amount of mass. So 70 cc of water will have 70 gram of mass because water has a density of 1 gram per cc. So clearly this inclusion will have a total density of 70 gram divided by 100 cc. So this will be 0.7 gram per cc. Okay, so that's why I was talking an inclusion filled 70% by water will have a density of 0.07 gram per cc. But mind it, this is true for the pure H2O, okay, because pure H2O has the density of 1 gram per cc. Now again coming on the graph, we are having the density of water 0.7, so it is plotting here. Now we will apply the pressure correction. So clearly from this graph, an inclusion having 0.7 density will have a homogenization temperature here, okay. So this will be near about 300 degrees centigrade, okay. Now we have to collect the data for the trapping pressure from any other independent geological source. Suppose this is 1600 atm. These lines are isobars for the pressures, okay. The pressure is increasing towards the right of the graph. So to find the original temperature of trapping, we will move vertically from this point up to the 1600 atm isobar line, okay. So here I am touching this isobar line and the original temperature of trapping is near about 450 to 500 degrees centigrade, okay. This is the process of pressure correction. Now suppose the chemistry of the inclusion is not pure water. Suppose it is a salt solution. Then we have to first determine the NaCl equivalent salinity of the solution. I mean, the salt may not be pure NaCl, rather a mixture of KCl and other components, but we have to determine its NaCl equivalent salinity. Okay, how we should calculate it? Suppose this is again the inclusion filled with 70% by NaCl aqueous solution having 20 wet % of NaCl in the solution. So this was the previous inclusion, 30 cc is filled by gas and 70 cc is NaCl solution, okay. The total volume is remaining same, that was the 100 cc. Now we have to find out what is the density of the inclusion. We know the density of the 20 wet % salt solution in room temperature is 1.15 gram per cc. So the mass of the 70 cc 20 wet % NaCl solution will be 70 multiplied by 1.15 gram, that is 80.5 gram, okay. So the density of the inclusion will be the total mass, I mean the mass of the NaCl solution, because this gas phase will have a negligible amount of mass. So this will be 80.5 divided by 100 cc. So the density is 0.805 gram per cc. Clearly the density has increased from that of the pure H2O phase, okay. Now after having the density of the inclusion, we can put it on the density axis, okay. So it is here. After that we will apply the same procedure just like the pure H2O system, okay. But see, in this case the temperature of homogenization line is not remaining here, it is moving here, okay. This dotted red line is now the locus of the temperature of homogenization in normal pressure condition. We will need a lesser temperature to homogenize this salt solution system. Suppose this is the temperature of homogenization of the salt solution and we have the trapping pressure data from other independent geological source. This is 1600 atm and we are touching the 1600 atm line here, okay. See, these isobar lines have also changed their position with changing the chemistry of the inclusion. That is why I was talking about choosing of the appropriate graph for the appropriate chemistry. Now we are having the temperature of trapping here, okay, again in between 450 to 500 degrees centigrade, but this will be definitely lesser than that of the pure H2O system. Now you may be confused why I am talking more the concentration of salt, less the temperature needed for homogenization. This is because the homogenization happens due to expansion of the liquid. Due to the expansion, the liquid is taking the space of the vapor, and this is the homogenization. Now think, when I am adding some salt in the water, I am adding more atoms in it. Okay, that means it will have more expandability than the pure water, because with a small amount of temperature increase, the atom will occupy the particular space. So that's why I need a less temperature to fill the gap. Now okay, if we can have the density of the inclusion, we can apply the pressure correction through standard graphs. Up to that we have understood clearly. But the $1,000,000 question is, how can we know what is inside the inclusion? I mean, how can we estimate the density of the inclusion? How can we estimate the chemistry of the inclusion? This is done by the freezing point depression method. Okay, the sample is freezed first and then warmed and observed under microscope. Okay, this is called the cooling experiment. The cooling experiment is done to know the chemistry of the solution inside the inclusion. So again, this is the temperature scale, and this is the inclusion containing a vapor phase like a bubble. Okay, so we heated the inclusion during the heating experiment, and the temperature of the inclusion is laying here now. Now the sample will be freezed. Look at the scale, the temperature is decreasing. Suppose at this particular temperature, the inclusion is getting totally freezed. Okay, so now the inclusion will be heated again. After a subsequent heating, suppose at this temperature, the ice inside the inclusion is melted first. We have to increase the temperature more to see where the last ice is melting. See, gradually the ice is disappearing and the size of the bubble is increasing. Suppose at this particular temperature, the last ice melted and now we have no ice inside the inclusion. This temperature is noted, and this is used to rate of the solution composition, form a curve on a standard graph. Okay, the graph represents the freezing point depression of water as a function of salt content. After that, when the NaCl equivalent salinity will be known, then we can do the geothermometry by using the standard set of graphs, just like we had done for the example of pure water or the NaCl solution earlier. This is an example of the standard graph I was talking about. Okay, here with the help of the ice melting temperature, we can estimate NaCl equivalent salinity. Okay, so these were the 4 steps of the geothermometry: first heating experiment, then cooling experiment, then choosing of standard graphs, and at the last application of the pressure correction. Okay, so by this we have reached to the end of the fluid inclusion geothermometric study. Okay, and this is also the end of the economic geology part 1. Thank you for being with Concepts of Geology. We will meet again definitely in some later class as soon as possible. Goodbye. Thank you for watching again.